purpose, for a better life, for self-realization. We ask the Lord to make this possible through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, DAP. Dear esteemed colleagues, our very eminent resource persons, and the great Coal City miners. It is with great pleasure that I welcome everyone to this very crucial capacity building workshop on enhancing global employability of our final year students. As you know, the major aim is to equip our final year students with the knowledge and understanding they need to hit the ground running post-graduation. Employability is a big agenda in higher education. Many persons who graduate from universities today can't get their dream job simply because they don't have the skills, they don't have the understanding of what employers need. I don't want to preempt our eminent guest speakers, our resource persons. I know they're going to unpack the concept and tell us what we must do to position ourselves to be able to enact opportunities within Nigeria and abroad to ensure that we have very successful career. Let me at this point warmly welcome the distinguished resource persons for this workshop who have been assembled from far and near. The caliber of resource persons like Professor Chidi Onya, Sir Kinsley Eze, Tolu Odibo go to show that this is not just an ordinary workshop. These resource persons have impressive credentials and name recognition beyond their areas of specialty. I particularly thank the Director of Career Services, our own dear Ife Ugonibo, for putting together this very first of its kind workshop to empower our final year students. She has demonstrated passion to ensure that CCU students will be different and they can hold their own anywhere they go. So I'm very happy, I'm very pleased about what we are doing. Thank you so much again, the Director, for the effort you have made to ensure that this seminar, this workshop indeed becomes a success. On this note, it is my honor and privilege to declare this very first workshop on employability open to the glory of God and to the benefit of CCU. Thank you so much, and I wish you a very fruitful workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, VC.
Thank you, Prof. Hello, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. You can hear me, okay. Please, if you can all mute yourselves, I think it will help if we all go on mute. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, VC. I think it's touched on why we are here. And just in simple English, we are here, and I'm addressing our students. We are here because we care about you. We care about what happens to you when you leave our classroom learning environment. We care about that. And that's why we are determined to make sure that we equip you with all the requisite skills and competencies. So when you go out of the university, get into the outside world, you'll be able to fit in. You'll be able to be globally competitive, employable, just like the VC has stressed, has highlighted. So without further ado, we are going to get into the next phase of this workshop, which is a presentation by Professor Chidi Onya. He is the chairman of the Strategic Advisory Board. He is the MD of Nigeria Infrastructure Advisory Facility. He's the chairman of Org Learning Consult. He's also a council member of CCU. But before we quickly get into that, there are a few house rules, okay? I'm going to put everyone on mute when the presentation is going on so that we don't get distracted. If you want to say anything, you can use the raise a hand button, but the advice will be that you wait. You know, questions can be asked at the end of the presentation. In fact, we should all use the chat. There's a chat button somewhere there at the bottom of your screen. You see a chat button. So you can go in there and type your questions and type in your comments, and then we can address those after. So I'll quickly hand over to Prof. Thank you so much, Prof. And I will stop sharing my screen so you can share yours. Thank you.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Prof.
I'm going to put on my video also so that you can see me. I think it's dark here. Let me change. Okay.
A little bit.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. So it's nice to see everyone. Thank you so much. A wonderful event, because I think what the Vice Chancellor and Mrs. Ugonabo talked about is something that's critical, and I will approach it both from an employer of labor, somebody that's been mentoring young people for close to 25, 30 years now, and also somebody that's been teaching in university and all the way serving on council. It would be helpful if people can turn off their mic. There's a lot of noise on the background. Can you mute everybody, please?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's one live mic.
I think I've muted everyone.
You seem to have muted our resource person. Please unmute Professor Onya.
He can unmute. He can unmute.
Okay.
He's not muted. He's a co-host.
I'm a co-host. VC, how are you? So I'm going to start with the first critical point that most adults struggle with. So I can imagine what the young people that are trying to get into the work field, trying to figure out what to do in life, whether to make the decision about survival or purpose. And most times, because of the way the economy is, you find quite a bit of leaning towards survival rather than working towards purpose. But the first question will be, how do you identify what really your purpose is as a young person? What we found out over the years is that there are few things that influence the decision to answer that question for young people. For not so young people, even some older people are today still not able to understand what that is. And that's why you see the confusion in our society. For some people, life is really about acquisitions. It's really about what you can gather, who you can get with. And the young people, you will see this every time on Instagram, on different social media platforms. You see all sorts of show of exuberance by other young people trying to influence your mind, trying to take you away from being circumspect in the things you want to do. So for them, it's all about grandeur, how you step out and people look at you. And for the young men, it's about the number of girls that look at them in their cars. So they spend all the time. For the young ladies, it's about how many likes they get on Instagram. the type of things that influence their lives, not necessarily what is most important. But for some other people too, it's about how they can live a life of affluence. So people can come in and say, oh my God, you have A, B, C, D. What we found out over the years is that the acquisitions that you have do not make you and do not define what your purpose is. I mean, the slide I'm showing you right now is something that was in my neighborhood in Los Angeles. I remember when my boys were still young, my first son, who's about 24 now, going to when he was still about 3 or 4, would drive around Bel Air, in Los Angeles towards Beverly Hills, and would see all these big homes, large houses. And for me, it was something that I was showing them to motivate them to know that if you work hard, you will be able to benefit from the labors of your hand, but you have to work hard. It's not jumping the gun and going from 0 to 100. And when they see these things, but I remind them that this that you're looking at, this beautiful house, about half a kilometer of driveway to the house, it's not the definition of the man that lives in there. You have to live your purpose, and the wealth that comes after is an attribute. It's a part of purpose itself, but that's not the purpose in itself. So this is critical for young people to understand. For others, it's about party, about buying expensive food, going to expensive restaurants, trying to belong. I mean, this pizza here is $200,000. I mean, who in their right mind will eat a $200,000 pizza other than somebody that's trying to impress the world to show that they have so much money? I mean, take this and calculate it by 360, and you understand what we're talking about. But for this person is a show of affluence, and that's what they're working so hard to make sure that people see them. And you see them that they take all their money. Some parts of it, take all their money to be able to host parties so that people can come in and say that they are rich, that they're wealthy, they are comfortable. And this is borrowed money. At the end of the day, they spend months trying to repay back, years trying to repay back. What people think about you does not qualify to be called your purpose. It does not matter. I'm going to go into explaining what purpose really is. But one thing I will show you that today you are 18, today you're 15, 16, whatever you are now, but tomorrow you get older and life goes really fast. I'm sure some of you that are in final year now, you remember secondary school and it wasn't so far away. That's how you're going to remember the day you got married, and it won't be so far away from when you were in the university. Life goes fast. The other day, I was just thinking about graduation, and I started calculating it. It's a long time ago I graduated, but you don't feel it because life, every day you wake up, life is moving on. And this is very important that you make every day count as you walk towards your purpose. What we're doing today is critical. When I was in final year, nobody came to show me how to prepare myself for the work environment. I just got in there and I started struggling. I hustled for years, ranging from things from driving a cab to being a security man to working as a clearing agent, all sorts of things I did. And when I go back to the US, I did all sorts of manual work for years before I found where I felt my purpose was, which is in teaching, which is in adding value to people's lives. That's what I continue to do today. And that's what I'll do even if I'm not getting paid. But one thing I can tell you people today is that if you walk in your purpose, you will be shocked how content you will be, and you will never, ever lack because you're content with what your purpose provides for you. This is very important. And now when we go through, these are what people have been asking. I tried to do a quick research on this before coming on. The question we're talking about today, what is your purpose? There are a few principles to understanding that. And one thing that you must understand and keep in mind is that the human being in itself, by nature, you are always trying to seek out what is the meaning of my being here. This is a question that fundamentally, as you get older, maybe when you're younger, you feel like you have everything all the time, and you really don't. You feel like you're invincible. But as you begin to get older and you ask yourself the important questions, you want to find out the meaning of why you're here. And this is a question people constantly ask. And the second thing is that personal fulfillment is the only true measure of success. Your vice chancellor will tell you, Mrs. Ugonabo will tell you, personal fulfillment is critical. I'm here and I can tell you that I feel fulfilled, and it's not about the balance of my account. It's not about the number of cars I have parked downstairs. It's not about the people I associate with. It's me being content that what I am doing is what I ought to be doing in my life at this very moment. The next thing that you have to keep in mind as a principle is that fulfilling purpose must be the primary goal of every person. This is so important, because if you don't do this, that's why you find people all over the place doing different things. And when they make so much money in trying to get involved in all sorts of activities, they're still not satisfied. There's still a void inside them. And you see so many actors, so many people in the industries, they make money, yet you hear that they're on drugs, they're depressed, they committed suicide. This is that lack in their spirit man, that something is not connected, something is not there yet. So the next principle you must remember is that everything in life has a purpose. It's important. I mean, there's no way I can take my iPhone now, because my iPhone has pictures of a plane inside it, then I'm going to climb on my iPhone and it will fly me to Lagos. No, my phone has a purpose, and that purpose is for it to be able to do or take my calls, send my emails, receive, take pictures, etc. That is the purpose. And I can't use it as another thing. I can't use it to scoop water. That's not the purpose. You must understand your purpose. And the only way you can understand your purpose is by going to the original manufacturer. And this is where it is important that you understand that. When young people are there, I mean, my third son was doing his internship in one of the firms here. He had just come back from the US. So where he was working, he was working with a couple of young people. And I don't know how the conversation got into the Christian faith. And everybody was saying, some of them were defining themselves, I'm just a Christian, but once in a while, I just attend church because my parents, I'm really not that hardcore Christian. I really don't understand what it means to be close to God and all that. Young people tend to be in that category. A few have been able to get to the point where they say they have a relationship, but the one person that can tell you your purpose is the person that has created you. I mean, there's no way I'm going to go and know more than the person that wrote the algorithm that is in my Apple phone. It's not possible, and it's not, the algorithm that is there is not private, it's proprietary. So you can't go to Samsung and they will give you the algorithm for iPhone. It has to be those in Apple that know what the algorithm is. So the same thing with you. Some connection between you and your creator will help you understand that. And that goes to the sixth point. Purpose always precedes production. Keep this in mind. Write this down. I'm sure Mrs. Ugonaba is going to share this. This is important. Purpose always precedes production. Without that, you are not productive. You can have activity, but not productivity. This is very important. The people are doing a lot of things, but are they really productive? I mean, I tell my team, how productive have we been? And we begin to check the things that we were set up to do as an organization, as a program. If we don't hit those things that we're supposed to do, then we have been involved in activities, but we have not been productive. This is very important, and especially for you young people. You're going to be pulled in all directions. Activity is going to be all over you. Man, I remember when I was younger in Lagos, I was in Lagos, I was in Port Harcourt, I was in Kanu, so many things, hustling, looking for different things to do, activities, but I wasn't productive till I found my core. And that was the first day I walked into a classroom in a city called Linwood in California, and I started teaching biology. I felt I was at home with the setting, and as the years went by, I knew that this was where I needed to be. Even now that I'm in the corporate field, now that I run organizations, now that I lead people, I still do it from that understanding that I'm a teacher at the core of who I am. So that's the importance that when you find purpose, you become productive. Number 7 that you always remember is all things begin and end with a purpose. This is very important. And the last one is God created you with a definite purpose in mind. Didn't make you a copycat. Didn't plan for you to be like another person. It's important to have mentors, and I will talk to you more about that. So now, one thing that you must remember is this. One day you will get old. That's basic. That's very important. What you do between the time now that you're young and when you get old is left to you. And that's what we're trying to help you achieve. Your eyes will no longer be as sharp. Most of you would think that you're cool now, everything, you can jump up 2 stories. After a while, your leg is not going to be that strong again. You're going to wake up and you hear some funny noise around your waist, around your knees. That is life happening. So you're not going to be invisible forever. Some people now don't even remember their names. People that have Alzheimer's. Some of your grandmothers are home. Some days they remember you, other days they don't remember. That is what life will do. It will come by. But when the time comes for you to pass on, you must have left a legacy here because you did your purpose. And this is where now we have to say, what are the things that I need to do to avoid the regret that most people have in their older time? So many people are old and they have regrets because they did not pay attention to these things I'm going to tell you now. I also have learned to do that as a person. I don't take it for granted. Each time I review this, I ask myself, am I keeping true to this thing so I don't get older than I am now and I'm full of regrets? So this is critical. One thing that you must remember, I didn't get a chance like this when I was younger for somebody to tell me and for me to write it down. Maybe some of the mistakes I made as a young man, some of the mistakes I make even till now, I would have avoided if I built the habit of mind to be able to identify some of the key things I'm going to tell you now in this presentation. One of it, there are 10 things, and I'm going to go fast because my time is running short. Number one is don't follow someone else's dream. Following someone else's dream is going to end up in regret. This is critical. Your dream is yours. There's something that you're meant to do. It is important. The path of unfulfilled dreams is more severe than that of disappointments. So this is not about you saying that it's not okay to dream, but dream your own dream. Don't dream Mrs. Ugonabo's dream. Don't dream Professor Afam Ituma's dream. Or dream your own dream and work towards it. This is critical. Do yourself a favor and stop living for other people's dreams. Live your own life. This is important that you do as a young person. And even as you get older, different things will be changing in that dream. That dream is not constant. It will be changing. But once you start on the right foundation, every other thing builds on that. You do have to remember that when I started, it was in a classroom in a secondary school. But that continued to build up into a university environment, into Washington, D.C., back to the World Bank. They were all building to a Department for Infrastructure Development, the UK government, to the federal government of Nigeria. But it was all building on each other. And was there a time I was all over the place? Yes. When I was driving a cab, when I was a security man, I was doing all that because I was still trying to find what my purpose was, even with my degree. So the second thing you must keep in mind is taking your loved ones for granted. This is where a lot of young people make the mistake. They think it's so cool to disrespect your loved ones, disrespect your parents. Your parents are not going to be around forever. I mean, I lost my father about 12 years ago. The pain is still real. And I would not even tell you how it feels till you walk that shoe. Then you will understand what I'm talking about. I still see people as old as I am that remind me of my father, and my eyes get watery. Yes, as you get older, you become more expressive. It does not show that you're weak. It just shows that you are real and you're confident in yourself to express your emotions. But never take the people that love you for granted. Be it the friends you see now in college, in the university, you think you're going to use them because there's something they're doing and you think you're the sharp guy or the sharp girl, and you use them and take advantage of them and hurt them. There's something that you must have to work against. And try your very best to spend quality time with everyone that you think that you want. Take out time, it's very important. Don't be too much in a hurry to be able to get rid of them. I mean, my mother is in her late 70s. I try my very best to always find time to fly into Enugu to spend time with her. No matter what she's saying, I participate in it a lot. It doesn't matter if I'm a professor. At that point in time, I'm with my mommy. I don't care what anybody thinks, to show her love. And most of you, you can't wait to leave home. I can assure you of one thing. One day you will leave home and you will just reminisce on those days and want to come back to the people that love you, because family is important. People that genuinely love you, you don't pick them on the street. The next thing that you must keep in mind to avoid regret is pretending to be someone else. And I see so many young ladies do that. You know, they go out of their way, they try so hard to be so fake that they even forget truly who they are. Everything is going on that is fake. And now, you know, social media helps you do that. From the eyelashes to the hair to the face. I mean, it's amazing. My friend that is the vice chancellor of Coal City University, Christian, was telling me about 2 years ago that he was officiating the marriage ceremony of the cousin. He said that when he was standing there as the officiating priest, as the bride was coming close and they took off the veil, he said he almost fainted because the lady in the veil was not the cousin he knew. They had transformed her completely with makeup. And tomorrow she goes back. That very night, she's going to wash it out and be herself. So the point is, why don't you be yourself? And this is why you find people with all sorts of emotional issues, young people with mood swings, young people trying on drugs because they are not happy with who they are. It's important that you don't take that for granted. Stop pretending to be somebody else. Be yourself. And if people don't like you, they can take a walk. And the people that like you will occupy that space. Don't try to change yourself, because the question is, how many times will you do that? How many people will you do that for? I mean, your life will be miserable because you're changing constantly with different people. And do believe me, I know so many people are living that life now. And for you as a young person coming out of the university, try to take a stand. Know who you are, be proud. If your parents are not so wealthy, be proud of it. One day you are going to make them proud. I mean, I came out from a middle-income family. Today I'm sitting down and I can pick up the phone and call the vice president of this country, and he calls me back. Where I was growing up in Owani, in Enugu, I wasn't even living with those in GRA. But I know that if you work hard over the years, hard work pays, but you must be yourself so that when you get to that time, you're not confused who really has arrived there. Is it the real you or is it the fake you? So this is very important. The next thing is burning all your bridges. I'm going to tell you guys, this is something that young people mess up. When you get old, you will understand the value of networks. Don't burn your bridges. Any relationship you're going to stop, don't let it stop in such a way that it is war. I mean, I'm not talking about your boyfriend, girlfriend issues. That one is left for you to handle. I'm talking about real relationships, those ones that can add value to your life, to your professional growth, to your academic growth. This is important because people are so keen on trying so hard to do one thing or the other. I mean, I think they're using people that they're the sharp ones. There's an old adage that says, be kind to the people you meet on your way up because you might need them on your way down. I mean, Mrs. Sugunabo will tell you, the Vice Chancellor will tell you, so many people that they've met going up, they've been seeing them coming down gradually. And those ones that were mean to people as they were climbing up, they are still going to meet them when you're coming down, because those people will be climbing up and you will remember the type of things you did. So be careful how you treat people. You might not want to hear this, but life is a journey of ups and downs. One day you have that Bentley, the other day you are looking for money to pay your bills. It happens. It's about up, but your attitude is important. Today you might be riding the waves of success in your personal and professional life, but then you never know what tomorrow holds. That's what life is about. So keep that in mind. Don't burn your bridges in everything you do. Because you have power now does not mean you're going to have power tomorrow. Look at the governors around you. Look at the local government chairman. Look at the members of the House of Assembly that are walking around with 7 and 8 policemen at one point. Then you see them 6, 7 years after, they don't even have one person agreeing to sit in their front seat. So that's what life is what you do when you're climbing. The next one is telling lies all the time is bad. Some of you can open your mouth, even your good morning is a lie. It's important that you are able to work hard so that when you say good morning, people don't start looking at their wristwatch to see if it's evening, because they can't take your word. Character, you are not known for character. You always think that whatever it is, let me get by. If I win today, tomorrow we live again. That's a very bad way to live your life. It will end up in regret because you will hurt so many people. You will tell so many lies that will come back and hurt you. True relationships can never be built on falsehood. This is important. You can't lie through a good relationship, a true relationship, because the foundation, the building blocks are fake. So one day, one lie leads to unraveling the other one, and you lose the valuable things that you would have loved at that point in time to have. So this is very important. The next one that you must keep in mind to avoid regret, forgetting to live in the moment. So many of you, and this is where young people, you do a good job. You live in the moment. You just want to do it now. You don't care about what happens tomorrow. But what I'm saying here is take out time from your academics, from all that is going on, and just appreciate where you are, where God has made you to be. And if you're in a very bad place and you think it's too bad, I can assure you that there are people that are in different places in the world that their condition is 10 times worse than yours. You know, you live in a house because you live in a face me, I face you. Your parents have tried really hard. You're mumbling and you're grumbling. Please, I'd like you to go to some of the IDPs that we see near Abuja here. And you will know that's your area that you have been cursing your parents out in your mind. It's like the villa compared to where those people are living. They are waiting and praying to God that they will even have people that will say, how are you? Young girls that are 6 and 7 being raped by the very people that were asked to take care of them. Young men being raped and turned into all sorts of things. And so when you're where you are, be very grateful for the moment and don't assume that things are worse for you and you begin to treat other people wrongly. And number 7, giving up true love. This one here, and young people, I know you will love this one. Love, this is not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend. We're talking about true love. Here, it is important that you love people from your heart. And we have a perfect example in Jesus that showed us what love is. Love, I'm talking about is love about service, about always willing to be selfless and not always trying to be selfish to take and take and take. I'm talking about that selflessness that we show towards others to support them in their own way of living, in their growth. And number 8, this is critical. Don't deny other people of happiness. Because things are difficult for you does not mean that you're going to turn out around to be an evil person. All you want to do is to take people down. And you pride yourself for doing that. Do good to all and spread happiness. It adds value to your own life. Go and see people that are always frowning. Look at their faces. Look at their life. They never prosper so long because no matter what you give them, they're never content. They're never happy. So they have money, but they're always grumbling. They're always seeing the negative in people. Don't be like that. You will end up in regret in your old age. So the 9th one, not standing for yourself and others. Some of you have no cause that you believe in. You just live life however you see it. Nothing is important. People are dying, you don't care. Black Lives Matters, you don't care. SARS should stop their violence against young people, you don't care. As long as it hasn't come to you, you have to identify something that is important that can help drive your life. I tell my children this all the time. They are young men, 4 of them almost in their 20s and up. They're always thinking about different types of, and I tell them you have to identify a cause. My second son and third are better at it. They have things that are important to them and they pursue it. They want to see it to help humanity, to help other people. You're in Coal City University. Try your best to identify a cause that you can align to, that can help support your tomorrow. This is important. And what is important is stand for that thing firmly. It doesn't have to be popular. It's about character. Stand for it. And finally, disregarding your health and wellness is horrible. Don't eat everything you want. When you're young, it's okay. You're taking in sugar. You're taking in all sorts of stuff. But your body is going to start shutting down with time. Living healthy is critical. This number 10 is one I continue to struggle with. I continue to try. In my mind, I go to the gym every day, but I still don't get the, step out to actually go to the gym. I envisage it every time. It takes discipline. I see different packs in my body, but they're changing from 6 to 2. Now it's 1, different things that are happening to me, but these are things that I can avoid by being very healthy and staying focused. So take care of yourself religiously. This is important. I'm not talking about going to church. You can go to church all you want and still be the devil. I'm talking about living a life that is about service, about loving others. Eat right and exercise regularly, and you avoid the regrets that come with old age. There are 10 things I've listed for you now, and as I'm closing out and saying, try your best and listen and pay attention to what the other facilitators are going to say about your career. But remember, what I've talked to you now is beyond your career. It's your life. It is the fundamental part of you, the foundation that will determine what Tolu tells you, what Ife tells you, how you put it in practice. If there's no person that is happy and motivated, no matter what they say to you, it's not going to work. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I look forward to seeing you and hearing all the things that you do post-graduation. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I think there's can everyone just mute themselves, please, because it's a little bit distracting. I'm not sure whose mic is on. 1 second. Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Onya. There's a lot of takeaways from this presentation.
So there's somebody that mic is open. It has.
Yeah, I'm constantly muting them. Yeah.
It says Bella and the Bella, whoever it is, please.
Bella and Namani.
Yes, and Namani UT is also open his mic. Please
mute yourselves, guys. Okay.
Maybe what we need to do is mute them for them.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said maybe we need to mute them so that way. Maybe they're
that's what I've done, but they keep unmuting it. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I need to just mute all. Yes. Okay, Prof, I think you should stop sharing your screen now, if that's okay. Thank you. Thank you. There's quite a lot of takeaways from this presentation. Yes, it was short, but this is more of a taster of more things to come, because we're not just looking at your academics, we're also looking at your career preparation skills, your leadership, your life skills, those soft skills that you need, counseling, so that when you get out there, you're a complete package. And that's part of what we're doing this afternoon. We have other resource persons. Kingsley Eze is here. He's the MD of Tennessee. He's also the founder of the Genesis Tech Hub. He's going to do some presentation on an industry insight, IT industry insight. Because part of what we're going to be doing moving forward is to organize sessions where we have all these industry experts, practitioners come in and talk to you about what the expectations are. You know, as you're finishing school, this is what we are looking for, and this is what you need to do, or this is what the industry is all about. So today we are going to do a quick session on the IT industry. Kingsley will just share a few insights, tell us what's going on. COVID has thrown up a lot of challenges and opportunities at the same time. The way we work is changing, so he'll be able to throw more light on that. And when he's done, I will run the career workshop, and Tolu Odigi will join us on the cover letter. She's also a friend of the university. Kingsley, I'm going to make you a co-host so you can share your screen. 1 second, let's find that button. Yes, and thank you so much for making out time and out of your busy schedule to speak to our children and our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ife. Thank you so much, Prof. I was privileged to listen to you. This is lovely. You know, as Prof was talking, I was just thinking to myself. I say, imagine if I can't even remember how long ago it was, maybe 25, 30 years ago, if someone had the presence of mind to organize something like this, to talk to me and the people I was growing up with at that time, at the time we were entering school, so that we could have the wisdom to apply ourselves better. So what it means is that, you know, those of you who are lucky to be in Coal City University today, and then lucky to participate in this program, you may not know what you're enjoying, so to say. This is a wonderful opportunity. If you learn and pick up the content that is coming from this session, you possibly could cut down the challenges of your life journey, you know, very significantly. So I'll encourage you to take, you know, this session seriously. You guys are lucky to be part of it, and I'll encourage you to take it seriously. So quickly, I will move to my presentation. If you please, can you share it, because I don't have it on this laptop.
Okay. Okay. Let me send it to my email.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
Send it to my email. Just 1 second. Oh no, actually, I have it on my WhatsApp.
In the meantime, Kingsley, you can share with us the outstanding things you're doing in the tech world, why it's coming up, and just how you have blown the mind of the country within one of the acknowledged tech leaders in Nigeria by the vice president, and sitting on that advisory board. You know, when you're sitting here and sharing this time, most of us don't understand the magnitude of commitment you have and the impact of what you have done for the country, for young people. So while we're waiting for the presentation, you are actually a living presentation. So you can be talking about it. So I'll be quiet and you can go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. I would like to start by saying that, you know, our journey, I run a company called Tennessee Professional Services. Tennessee is arguably one of the leading IT companies in the African region today. We have 4 offices in Nigeria. We have an office in Ghana, in Kenya, in Addis Ababa, and then in Dubai. And then we also have an aggressive plan to roll out into places like Rwanda and South Africa, you know, as quickly as possible. In terms of staff strength, somewhere slightly under 400 people. We work for banks, we work for the telcos, we also work for government. About 6 years ago, we embarked on a journey to build a world-class technology hub in Nigeria, and we decided to set it up in Enugu. And it has become a breeding ground for young people like you guys, for young people who are seeking platforms, technology platforms to express themselves and to fully realize their potentials, particularly those of them who are tech enthusiasts. Interestingly, we are also getting a lot of results. Recently, some of the tech initiatives that have been happening around, where guys from my team participated, we've actually been, you know, winning awards. About 3-4 months ago, Sterling Bank did a hackathon, and the guys from Genesis Tech Hub, you know, came second. Recently, Ford Foundation had some technology initiatives for young people, and then guys from Genesis Tech Hub made the top 10 lists that are currently going through the final stages. And there are a couple of, you know, of such programs. But I think one key thing I want to highlight is the fact that the guys who are doing this are young people like you. The guys who are doing this, some of them are undergraduates, some of them are fresh graduates, some of them don't even have tech background, some of them are pharmacists, some of them are graduates of mathematics, physics. Some of them are also from the arts, not necessarily sciences. But the only thing they all have in common is the passion, which is driving their commitment. So the reason I'm highlighting this is that, wherever you're sitting today, one of the things that happened to us when we were young is that, we are young, we have energy, we can almost drive anything we can dream about. And most times we make the mistake of thinking that we'll have all the time in our hands. If there is anything you need to take away from this session, is the fact that, number one, you're actually the author of your destiny. So, Bible tells us how grace abounds. So God's grace is a constant. So it is you that needs to take advantage of that grace and figure out what you want to do with your life. Now, number two is lead from number one. Because you're responsible for your destiny, you need to take steps. When I say deliberate steps, I mean very conscious steps to make sure you end up where you desire to be. So the implication for that is that you now need to, first of all, define a direction. You need to define an endpoint. You need to say to yourself, this is what I want to be. At the minimum, you need to have at least 2 or 3 things you will say, if I can, I want to walk myself into these areas. Unlike what most young people do, which is living life by the day. If you live life by the day, it's almost like playing kalo with your life. You can't live life by the day. You can't just wake up and carry on with whatever that day brings. No way. If you do it, you know what it's going to be like? Have you imagined playing soccer? 11 people from each side. That is 22, plus a referee and then the linesman. So at the minimum, you have anywhere between 24 and 25 people there. And then you take away the goalposts. It's going to be chaos. Everybody is going to be running around. There is no target. There are no goals. That is exactly what it's going to be like when you live your life without that level of consciousness. When you live your life without set targets or set goals or well-defined direction where, you're headed, So my slide is up. I'll try and go back to the slide, and I'll also see how I can bring in some of our personal experiences as I talk through the slides. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm sure everybody's seen my slide.
Yes.
Excellent. So I'm supposed to talk about, the future of work, from a technology standpoint. Interestingly, technology is the biggest disruptor of this century. Technology is changing everything the way we know it. Even though COVID has also come to help technology, but what COVID has actually come to do is to accelerate a direction that technology is already taking, and I will explain. So a lot of people actually believe that, COVID actually is the formal announcement of the fourth revolution. So the fourth revolution represents that time, that period in time when technology essentially drives everything, from conceptualization to deployment and management of businesses, ideas, initiatives, and all that. And I'll give you a good example. So the tool we are using to have this call, this meeting now, has been in existence for years. At the minimum, Zoom has been around for at least 4 or 5 years. But guess what? People still were more, disposed to having physical meetings. If not for COVID, this session would have been happening in some hall at the premises of Coal City University at the moment.
That's right.
And the same thing applies to several other technologies. So the technologies to do a lot of things that will mean, complete transformation of the way we live, the way we work, and the way we do things are actually existing. But because we are humans, and humans have this natural apathy towards change. So we usually don't adopt change, as quickly or as easily as one would have expected. But guess what? Whenever there is a constraint, we have a way of quickly adapting to that change or to that constraint. So COVID has formally launched the emergence of the fourth revolution. And the tool we're using to have this meeting is a good example of how ready the entire world is for that fourth revolution. But for whatever reasons, particularly the apathy we have towards change, we have a hard time adopting those changes. But COVID has not given us any chance to even decide whether we want it or not. Now, so that is how the world is changing. All those changes that are driven by technology is also affecting the way we live, the way we play, but most importantly, the way we work. What we know as work is going to change significantly. In fact, some of us who are in school today and who are possibly hoping to finish school and get a job in a bank, you will be shocked to find out that by the time you're done with school in the next 4 years, the banks will have less need for people like you. You'll be shocked that by the time you're done with school in the next 4 years, the telcos or the oil companies are going to have robots doing exactly some of the things you would have wished to do for them. So the first slide I have here talks about how the world of work has changed. And there are about 4 major factors driving that change. One of them is technological change. The other one is the aging population and the diversity of the existing population. The other one is globalization. And then the last one is environmental and social focus. Now, if we start with technology, quite a number of businesses or business leaders are actually beginning to see how technology is helping them improve efficiency. Technology is helping them leverage new skills. Technology is helping them build ubiquity. When something is ubiquitous, it means that that thing is everywhere. It's almost like, everywhere. Now, technology allows you to produce shoes in Aba, put it on the internet, and some guy in Ghana is able to view those shoes on the internet, likes the shoes, orders the shoes, it gets dispatched from Aba, and in 2 or 3 days, the shoe gets delivered to you in Ghana. I mean, this kind of value is so compelling that few businesses would want to disregard it. Now, and that impact of technology is also changing the kind of skills, the kind of, the way work is, and all that. Now, globalization is giving, so what has happened with globalization is that technology with improved mobility, which is as a result of enhanced efficiency in transportation. So today you have, flights that can leave Lagos in the morning, and by the next morning you're early enough to have breakfast in New York, okay? You have vessels that can carry containers from China, and they can load almost anything you can think about, from textile to automobile, almost anything you can think about, and deliver it to every part of the world. You have immigration procedures that are allowing for enhanced mobility of both man and materials. Now, so what globalization has done is it has actually logically reduced what ordinarily should have been physical barriers that limit the way we're able to move. Now, with that in place, people are able to transact businesses, across continents. The skills to do that are actually different from the skills that our parents used, or even the skills that some of us used. Okay, so you have things like environmental, issues like global warming, consumer maturity or sophistication, where the customers today have an idea of what they want, how they want it, and they are not taken prisoners in terms of demanding that those services get delivered to them just the way they want it. Now, you have the fact that with improved medical care, a lot of people now are able to live to become old. And what that also means is that the requirements to take care of them, the kind of work they're able to do. So all this whole mix is actually changing our world of work the way we know it. I'll give a very practical example. So I have this young guy that is very close to me. He read electronics engineering, finished school, came to me to discuss his next line of action. And I was thinking he was going to ask me to help him get a job, maybe in an IT firm or whatever. And the guy said to me, that he wants to use his youth service period to go and learn photography. My initial reaction was photography. So what he means is that I want to be a photographer. And the guy said to me, not quite. And he gave me an idea of his own vision for photography. And I was very excited. This is a graduate of electronics engineering. So I helped sponsor him to go through the training, that he needed, to qualify as an expert in that space. Now, this guy has changed the dynamics of photography. So he didn't finish that program and now went to start taking passport photographs for people. He now designs book covers for publishers. He designs album covers for artists. He designs posters for the people in the movie industry, and he's doing fantastically well. Some guy who graduates with a degree in accounting today may find out that all the things he trained about how to balance books and all that there are 1,000,001 accounting packages that can do that faster and more efficiently than him. So the question is, if it is like that today, what is it going to be like in the next 5 years by the time you're going to leave school? So the guy who graduates as an architect today realizes that you have AutoCAD applications, and with AutoCAD applications, he's able to literally, design whatever he can imagine. He doesn't need to measure things. He doesn't need to use his T-square and his set square and all those tools that, architects were using, those legacy tools that architects were using. The computer is going to do exactly everything, he wants for him. Now, the question is, if the computer can do all that today, what is the future of the guy who is getting into school today to study architecture? That is the way I want you to start thinking. Now, World Economic Forum, the second slide. World Economic Forum projects an interesting scenario. So in 2018, about 29% of the works that humans were doing were taken over by machines. Now, it is projected that by 2022, that number is going to increase from 29 to 42. By 2025, that number is going to increase from 42 to 52%. So what it means is that by 2025, most of the work that humans do today, 52% of it is going to be taken over by machines. And what it means is that only 48% will be left for humans to handle. So that immediately begins to tell you that some of those jobs you are hoping to do when you leave school may not be there by the time you leave school. Now, to further that, to drill down further, on that point, there are certain job roles or job functions or skill sets that their demand is growing. At the same time, there are certain other traditional or legacy skill sets or legacy job types that their demand are declining. So if you want to look at the ones that the job functions that the demand is on the increase, you look at things like analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, creativity, originality and initiative. Interestingly, some of those things you actually see around us, but we're still not making sense out of them. So today, you wake up and on your social media, your Instagram, your, your WhatsApp, you see people creating all kinds of animated images, people creating all kinds of funny stuff, and selling, people making short videos and selling. That is this creativity space. That is the originality space. Some of the guys who have become so successful sharing content on social media would have been possibly working in a bank or somewhere else if it was 10 years ago when they finished school. So skills like technology design and programming is on the increase. Critical thinking and analysis is on the increase. Complex problem solving skills, leadership and social influence, they're all on the emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence is another thing I would really like. So there is this concept of emotional quotient. Just like you have IQ, your intelligent quotient. So there is the concept of emotional quotient. If I'm going to hire people today, and one person stands in front of me and has the mental ability of Albert Einstein, okay? And then a second person stands in front of me, and I realize that that person is emotionally sensitive, or that he has very high emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. Guess what? I'm going to hire the guy with high emotional intelligence before I hire the guy with, the Einstein brain power. You see, because the skills that win today are skills that, connote better relationship with humans. When Prof was talking, he talked about, our attitude, having respect for people, how you relate with people, how you manage relationships, how you don't burn your bridges. The guy who has strong emotional intelligence will not burn his bridges because his conscience would have told him that he might need that bridge, sometime in the future. So skills like reasoning, problem solving, ideation, being natural, being original in creating things from scratch, systems analysis and evaluation. Anything you're doing today that does not help you grow in any of these things I listed now, look at it again. It has nothing to do with the field, your field of study. There are just about 2 or 3 that have maybe strong technical components, but the rest are essentially your own making. The rest are essentially your personality. So it actually goes to say that your personality versus your brain power is actually what you need more going forward. The way you're perceived is more important, is more useful for your career than how much or how quickly you can solve that, complex mathematics. Now, on the other side, you have skills that are on the decline. So manual dexterity. So you have muscles, you can use your hoe and farming implements to farm to till the ground now till next year. The need for that is reducing. You have endurance, you can trek from here to, the next state. Very good, but, it really will not give you any advantage. Precision, you can do things with so much precision, so sad, that your precision, while it's good, it doesn't really give you any, leverage, for the obvious reasons, which is that technology will do that for you. If you remember when we were in school, one of the things we were doing in our math classes back in the days was to memorize the multiplication table. While that is good, while that helped us develop our brain, our numerical abilities, reality is that that will not fetch you so much, in the workplace of the future. So management of financial and material resources, I talked about it. That's accountants, that financial expert. Yes, there are certain levels of experience, particularly when it comes to, ideation, planning and all that, that is going to be very good. But if it's about analysis and all that, technology will do the analysis better, more accurately, and will deliver it to you faster than, any human. So that might not be such a very useful skill going forward. Technology installation, maintenance, today is still very good, but because most things are moving to the cloud, very few people will be required to do that. So it's going to be clogged. Reading, writing, maths, active listening, like I said before, very nice to have, but they may not give you some super advantage. Okay? Quality control, safety awareness, coordination, time management. You see, Anytime you see anything that technology can easily take over, walk away from it. And most structured things can easily be taken over by technology. Now, there are some other skills that are considered emerging. There are 10 of them that are considered emerging. Things like data analysis. By the way, I'm sure, you know, if any of you is quite active in the tech space, one of the things you're going to be hearing is something to the effect that data is the new gold. So the highly capitalized companies today in the New York Stock Exchange, if you look at the top 10 of those companies, you know, companies like Alphabet. By the way, Alphabet is the parent company for Google. Companies like Alphabet, Tencent, Facebook, Microsoft, and so on. These are companies that deal on data. So data is the new gold. If you have the opportunity to learn anything around data analysis, data management, go ahead and do it. Artificial intelligence, machine learning specialists, in fact, their need cannot be overemphasized. General and operations managers, people who are going to lead teams and get them to deliver on set objectives, it will always be in high demand. These are part of the emerging skills. Software application and developers analysts in demand. Big data specialists, digital transformation specialists, new technology specialists, organizational development specialists, and in general terms, information technology services, you know, specialists. So these are roles or job functions or skill sets that are going to be, you know, that are emerging. These are what you want to call the, you know, the frontier areas when it comes to, you know, job opportunities. Now, to put it in context also again, it is World Bank, you know, the World Economic Forum, sorry, you know, is suggesting that by 2022, companies are going to find themselves adopting technology at different rates or different types of automation of using technology at different rates. So you have the robots, the humanoids. You have the stationary robots. These are mostly the types that are used in factories. So you have the aerial and the underwater robots. So a good example of an aerial robot is, you know, the drones, you know. Underwater robots are the MRVs that are used for underwater welding, you know, underwater scanning, you know, and some other things like that. Then you also have the, you know, non-humanoids, you know, land robots. Now, it is envisaged that different companies are going to be adopting these kinds of, you know, automation or robots at different rates. So for humanoids, it's about 23%. For stationary robots, it's about 37%. For aerial and underwater robots, it's about 19%. And for land robots, it's about 33%. Now, the organizations that are going to be like the first movers are the early adopters, are going to be like financial services, automotive and airspace supply chain, oil and gas businesses, and automotive and, you know, aerospace, you know, supply chain also for the different categories of robots that I already explained, you know, initially. Now, to also put numbers to it, for the emerging skills, it is envisaged that by 2022, about 133 million opportunities will exist. So you can see the depths or the scale of the opportunity. Now, while we are looking at the 133 million new opportunities that will come from the new, from the emerging skills, you also, the flip side of it is that for the declining skills, there's going to be a minimum of about 75 million job losses. This is quite significant, and this should guide, you know, your thinking in terms of where you think you should give attention. Now, the next slide is some sort of you know, trajectory showing, you know, the typical employment life cycle for the average young person. So today you all are the rudimentary stage, the first stage, which is learning and training. So you are at the point where your learning skills, the skills you need to drive you, into the labor market. So it's extremely important that you realize that the success of your next stage or phase is largely a function of how well you have done at this stage. One of the key considerations or the key importance of the new labor market is that you cannot bullshit anybody again. If you don't know anything, you cannot go to the next level.
Simple.
Okay. So if you're not ready for the next stage, it's going to hurt you badly. So this is not one of those, unfortunately for you guys, this is not one of those, this is not that period where you just run through school for the fun of running through school. You must run through school with an end in mind, with a clear understanding of what you need to get out of school, and a razor sharp commitment or focus to ensuring that you get exactly what you want out of school. So that's the next stage. The next stage is job hunting. Remember, like I said, if you don't prepare in the first stage, you're going to have a hard time, with your job hunting. So at the time you start putting together your resume and all that, that is when you're going to realize that you don't have anything to put in your resume. And you're not going to bullshit anybody, because eventually it's going to be clear that you don't know anything. And you submit your resume, you go for interviews. After the interviews, if you succeed, there is the contracting when the firm hires you, maybe gives you 6 months probation, and eventually you do well, there is confirmation, and then you get retained. And when you get retained, you get promoted, and then eventually you retire. That's the typical life cycle. Now, as you go through that life cycle, that's job cycle, there are skill sets that you need, and the skill sets are divided into. Excuse me, please. Hold it up. So the slide we have now shows what we call the employability matrix. Okay, it shows what you need. Like I said initially, so you have the soft skills and then you have the hard skills, and you need the right combination of both the soft skills and the hard skills to do well. Now, if you're going for an interview, for example, and you are supposed to express both skill sets or both skill types, your interview will typically require 65% of those soft skills and 35% of the hard skills. Now, what are the soft skills? Your soft skills are communication, problem solving, teamwork, initiative and enterprise, planning, curiosity, collaboration.
Basically need everything for their hunting, right? So obviously they need to be able to fly well, but they need to use both sight and hearing as well. This baby depends on his eyes and his ears to be able to find food. If there's any problems with either of those, he might not be able to go back to one. Really, what you're looking for is charm, blood, and
If whose mic is on?
Somebody's
Yeah, somebody's mic is live.
Okay, so those are the examples of soft skills. Then, for your hard skills are your, call them technical skills essentially, your subject matter expertise, your data and technical skills, your maths and statistics knowledge, your computational abilities, you know, and all that. But one of the things you're going to learn quickly is that those soft skills are actually more important than the hard skills. You know why? The hard skills are largely commodities. I mean, if you need the best data analysis guy, you hire the best data analysis guy. But it is not easy to teach people to be creative. Some of these things, I mean, creative abilities, some of it comes naturally most times. It's not easy to teach people to learn to collaborate, but you can always teach people to learn to, you know, solve maths, you know, and all that. So for the typical interview, you're going to have need for your hard skills and for your soft skills. So as you're getting ready as a young person, you do whatever it takes to make sure that your skill mix, you know, is optimal. So this slide that's my second to the last slide. I'm sorry I'm taking so much time, but two things are very critical here. Initially, we've spoken about, you know, skill sets that are on the decline, and then skill sets that are, you know, on the ascent. You know, skill sets that are increasingly more required and those that are increasingly not going to be required. Two things this slide is showing us is what are those skills that we must build, and what are the factors driving those skills requirements. So the skills we must build, you know, aside the deep technical skills, you know, the skills that are very critical for the employee's future are skills like transdisciplinary skills, design mindset, virtual collaboration, cross-cultural competency, cognitive load management, new media literacy, computational thinking, social intelligence. Social intelligence also connects to emotional intelligence, like I spoke about before. Novel and adaptive thinking. Novel and adaptive thinking also goes to speak more about what I said initially about being original, about creativity, about, you know, developing, evolving ideas and innovations out of things that are existing, or in some instances, actually out of nothing. One of the things about the current, you know, the mindset of consumers today is the fact that their needs have become so dynamic. So consumers are wanting new things at all times. Consumers are also thinking that everything is possible. Consumers are also very sophisticated to the extent that if you don't give them what they want, they actually have an idea where they are going to look for it. So skills that point or skills that speak to originality, to creativity, will always be in high demand. So what are the factors driving this kind of skill set? You know, extreme longevity. People live longer today. So the distribution of the demographics of the population is also changing. The world is increasingly becoming a computational world. So abilities to leverage computational abilities will always be an advantage. Superstructured organizations. The organizational structures that exist today is just massively complex. So you take an Apple, for example. An Apple, they have their office, you know, their head office somewhere in Silicon Valley in the US, but their Apple, their products get designed somewhere out of that office. Now, the production of those devices happens somewhere in China. The sale of those devices happen, you know, world over. How do you design such an organization in a very simple way? There is really no simple way of designing such an organization. So you have superstructured organizations that will require a lot of collaboration, a lot of virtual collaboration, which now explains why skills like virtual collaboration come strongly as one of the skills to build. Okay, so another factor is, you know, a globally connected world. We already talked about globalization and the factors driving globalization and how it is changing the world the way we know it. New media ecology. a good example of, new media ecology that anybody can understand is what Trump is doing with Twitter. So there was a time it was going to be very difficult for anybody to, get their voices heard. But the way the media has been largely democratized and decentralized, and it's almost like, power has been handed over to anybody. You can reach anybody using any media platform of your choice. So you really don't need the mainstream media to be heard. Now, that capability also brings with it some requirement for skill set. Some requirement for a new set of skills. Okay. Now, the last one, the last factor that is driving the change is, rise of smart machines and, and systems. Initially I made a point about how, we are going to wake up one day, and when I say one day, it's not going to be very far. I'm talking about anywhere between 5 to 10 years, and you realize that what we know as banks will still be banks, but they are not going to have the form and structure they have today. I can't remember the last time I went into a bank branch, but I've also not missed anything by not going into a bank branch. 10 years ago or more, it wasn't like that. It's not possible to exist without really walking into a bank branch. So the rise of smart machines and systems is going to transform, or is transforming a lot of things about what we know about how we live and work. And those things on their own are also driving the need for a completely different set of skills. Then our last slide, what do we do, or how do we do it? We've talked about how the workplace has changed. We talked about how certain job or skill sets are on the decline while others are on the ascent. We talked about what factors are they that are driving, those changes. Now, for a young undergraduate, what can you do, or how do you get on this journey? Number one, you need to be very conscious of the people you associate yourself with. You must hang out with intelligent people. There is this joke. I mean, I think I encountered it on WhatsApp. So some guy said something about, if you're in the room with 4 brilliant people, you're going to be the 5th brilliant person. If you're in a room with 4 hardworking people, you're going to be the 5th hardworking person. He also said, if you're in a room with 5 billionaires, 4 billionaires, you're going to be the 5th billionaire. Now, he said, if you're in a room with 4 poor people, he didn't say anything. He just said, I'm sure you get my point. So it's the same thinking here. The people you hang out with will, to a large extent, influence how you turn out. If you hang out with brilliant people, if you hang out with very, people that are very driven, people who are, striving to achieve, setting very high targets for themselves and striving to achieve those targets, you definitely will be on the line for that. That's number one. Number two is that you need to develop a vision. You need to identify, focus, and pursue your dream. Number three is you must acquire skills. It is recommended that you should try and learn at least 4 new future skills every year. Remember, we've listed some of those future skills in the initial slides. Then you must seek knowledge like your life depends on it. As much as possible, if you can, learn a new thing every day. Then publish yourself online. The social media has become, I don't even know the best way to define it, but some sort of, global supermarket or global, opera stage. So you can define your audience. You can, if you do the right things, you're going to hold down your audience. If you do the right things, you can sell anything to your audience, and you can actually make a good living by impressing your audience. So you need to define who you want to connect with. You need to define who you want to appeal to, and then find out the best way to connect with them online. If you want to make the most out of this global, a globally, highly connected global space, then you need to create your own space online and capture and impress your audience there. then you need to also expand your social capital, essentially networking. So you must meet the right people, and I'm not talking about just meeting people for the fun of meeting people. You must meet the right people. And interestingly, for you to impress the people you meet, you also need to have something that you're bringing to the table. If you meet the right people and they're unable to exchange anything with you, it's just a matter of time, you will lose them. So this is just a very simple process in terms of what can be done by most of you young undergraduates to ensure that you make that transition and become the person you want to be in the new global market space. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Kisili.
Thank you, sir.
VC, good afternoon, sir.
Good, sir.
Okay.
I don't want to preempt you, but I just want to quickly say this is the kind of presentation that people travel all the way to London to go and listen to. And everyone's going to reach. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kingsley. I was trying to nudge you about time, but you know what?
I'm so sorry. I have a problem. I talk too much. I am really, really sorry.
No, but it's actually okay. It's what we need to hear. It's what our students need to hear.
Yeah, and your talking has fetched you a lot of money. So keep on talking.
Prof, I'm not sure.
The problem is talking that does not lead to productivity. So talk on.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think there's a lot of takeaway again. We don't want to go through what is said already. Even the slide that is on. We need to develop a vision. We need to acquire skills, seek knowledge, expand our social capital network. And it's talked about EQ, creativity, originality, data, system analytics, virtual collaboration. That is the way to go. So this is quite an insightful session on what's happening in the tech industry. I will quickly move on to the next session, and I'm going to have to cut my own time. I'm always accessible and available, so hopefully I'll be able to make it up in another session or so. I will stop sharing right now and move back to my screen. Okay. Screen share. Right. Please, I would like everyone to mute themselves. It's a little bit distracting, you know. Hold on. Share. Please, let's mute ourselves, okay, so we don't distract other people. Right, so we are on CV writing a resume. I think Kingsley has even touched, on the soft skills quite a bit. So we'll go quickly through the slides, and I hope you're writing notes, but I want you to also listen. There is the workbook. And the workbook, I am going to share it. I'm going to get it uploaded on my CCU. The workbook has all the information in this presentation. So you don't need to start copying or writing too much. There's a workbook that gives you even more detailed information to help you do your CV. Typically, this workshop should have taken a bit more time so that you bring your CVs and we can review as we get on with the workshop. So just listen as much as you can, scribble a few notes, you will get a detailed participant workbook. Part of our objectives today is to be able to choose a CV format and content that creates the right impression for us and our skill set. Remember, your CV is you marketing yourself. There are a lot of myths around CVs. People would say it's no longer 21st century, people don't need it anymore. You still need to have a properly prepared CV because it's your opportunity to say this is what I'm about, demonstrate your passion, your achievements, your abilities. It's really important that we give it a thought. Let's not do it, we do a lot of generics, we copy and paste, we copy other people's and just throw it in there. We don't put any effort and then we expect someone to look at it and give us our dream job. Like Kingsley said, your time starts now. In fact, your time started when you finished secondary school. And a lot of you here are in your final years. So you really need to up your game. We're going to also touch on common pitfalls when we're writing CVs. And Tolu is going to take us on the effective covering letter to support our CVs. So I've talked about the workbook. So there's the participants workbook, which I'm going to share, like I mentioned. Let me expand my screen. Okay. So what is a CV and what is a resume? For the purpose of what we are doing today, I'm not going to dwell too much on the differences. To be honest, these days, it means almost the same thing. You probably look at where you are. So probably in the US, CV, it's like 20, 15-page document because you have to note, detail all your skills, all your achievements, your research, and all that. In today's world, is a CV, is a resume. So for the benefit of what we are doing today, we can interchange the key terms. So whether it's a CV or a resume, so do bear with me. A CV is a Latin phrase and it just means course of life. So you're basically talking about your professional history, your academic history, your skills, your qualifications, your achievements, your passion, things that you're interested in, what you're going to bring to the table. Because it's not about just somebody employing you and giving you the opportunity to learn. It's also about what you can give to your employer, your potential employer. All right? So your CV is a commodity. You package yourself. So imagine that you have a once in a lifetime opportunity to sell a product, to sell that which is important to you, to market that which is the most important to you. What do? You have to intentionally give it a thought and make sure that you do it well. The average time that it takes a recruiter, Tolu is here, she's a recruiter, to read a CV, I put in 6 seconds, between 6 to 7.4 seconds. It actually, some people just do 5 seconds. That's what, on average, it takes for someone to look at your CV and decide whether they're going to give you a second chance to come in and prove yourself, or whether they will chuck it straight in the bin. And even in these days, we now have this applicant tracking system, which is a robot. So even when you do your CV, you're also writing for robots. So when they see the things that are not supposed to be there, the system automatically, the technology will automatically shove your CV aside, and you don't get a second chance. So you only have a very short window of opportunity for you to impress your potential employer. So that's why you've got to do it and do it well. So what is the purpose of a CV? It's your introduction to your employer, right? The most important thing is, how do you get that interview? So if I don't do it in the way that attracts that kind of attention, you would continue to sit at home. So whatever you do on your CV, the whole essence is, of course, you're not going to lie, you're going to put in the skills and all that you have, but it's just a way of getting you to the next level, to sit down in front of an employer and defend that which you have written on your CV. So a good CV contains the right amount of information in a pleasing and in a very professional format. We've got the things that you have to put in your CV, your personal details, your professional details, your professional profile, your employment history, work experience, your education, your interests and achievements, other additional information, and your references. It doesn't necessarily have to follow. So sometimes your education comes before your employment history, depending on your level of experience. I think as graduates, as young people, most people will have your education first before the employment, because the whole focus is on your education and the skills you have gathered whilst at school and the little experience that you have. As you progress in life, you're going to have the employment history section a bit more expanded. Right. So let's look at your professional summary. It's about 1 or 2 or 3 sentences on your area of expertise or your career interest. You have to be able to relate your existing skills directly to the job that you're seeking. And that's why you have to pay attention, because some people just see every job advert that they see, any opening, they just pick up their CVs and just send it like that. They don't give it a thought at all about, are they looking for people like me? Do I convey a match between what they're looking for and, of course, and the skills that I have? So you have to design it. It has to be designed in a way that grabs the reader's attention and kind of urges them on to read further. And then there are different types of CV format. I think we're going to focus more on the student or the graduate level. You know, your CV contains basically the same thing. So you will still have your address, you will have your professional profile or objective statement. You know, people call it objective statement sometimes. But then there are different formats. So if you're focusing on your performance, if you've had a steady work history, for instance, then you probably go for a performance kind of CV where you're detailing all that you have done in reverse chronological order, and you're talking about your achievements, your responsibilities, and what you achieved, and all of those. When we talk about functional CVs, it's just focused on sort of your skills. So sometimes you have a few gaps in your CV, you know, your work life, and you just want to focus on those skills that are important. And for instance, maybe a job is looking for a particular kind of skill. So you can just focus on those skills that, that are required for that job opening, and talk about the skills and talk about your achievements and how you can transfer whatever skills, your experience, those skills to the new role. There's also the targeted one or the combination one, which is also about, you know, combining the performance and the functional. But like I did say, we're going to focus on sort of the student at the graduate level. There are also alternative CVs, you know, the video ones. So people who are in the creative industry, for instance, they probably have a video CV or like an advert CV. But you don't, nobody's encouraged to go and start putting up pictures or videos and sending it when you haven't been asked to send. So these kinds of CVs they're specific. So if someone says, oh, I need a video of you doing some acting a drama, then you still have your paper CV or your, you know what I mean, the regular, the traditional CV, and then you get to the video format to support it. Performance, I think we already talked about it, is to show your career progression, to highlight your previous employers, and sort of to get a role in the same line of work. So when you have gaps in your history, it may not be the best format to take. Then the next one is the functional or skills-based CV, which is about demonstrating your transferable skills, or to also hide your gaps in your employment history. Sometimes of course, you're required to explain what those gaps are. Maybe at the point of the interview, you may need to explain why you have those gaps. But this is focused on, you know, trying to sell a particular skill set. So that's when you probably use the format. But essentially, it's the information you have on your, you know, any type of CV, they are relatively the same. It's just the way they are arranged. So for instance, this is an example of someone who's trying to highlight the skills he has in leadership, coaching, and mentoring. So you see that the subsections, he's talking about his leadership skills, and the next one he's talking about communications, he's talking about project management. So this is sort of targeted. So he's just focusing on his on those skills that will help him land that job role that is open. Targeted combination is sort of a hybrid. So it's to describe your varied career as a whole. If you have gaps in your employment history, you can also talk about your skills, and then talk about your performances, and then and about your achievements as well. So you can put the two together if you're targeting, say, a particular role. So it's all about what is suitable. So you look at the role that you're applying for, you look at your skills, and you pick the format that would best market you in the best possible way. Yeah, so I talked about the alternative CV. So this is someone probably in the creative industry or something. So they will have a CV like this. Even though they'll probably have a proper paper CV, they're also going to have something to show off, you know, their creativity. So this is what we are on about today. So the student graduate CV, a lot of people are worried that they don't have any skills to show on their CV. They worry that by the time they leave, nobody's going to look at them because they don't come in with any experience. But you know what? Sometimes, not all, if it's a graduate entry role, it's not about the experiences that you have. It's about the skills that you have, the abilities, your transferable skills. and even some experiences that you can gain while in school. I think a lot of people just think that, oh, when you leave school, you have to just get a job where you get into an office, you go into an office every morning, you sit down, you get paid at the end of every month. No. Even as you're going through school, it is an experience. So you have to look out for those things that you're doing right now that qualifies as work experience. So it might be your project. So when you're managing your project, you know how to you're managing your time, you're managing resources, you're managing all sorts of things. So it's almost like it's a project. So you're managing a project, and it's project management in a way. So you also have to constantly look at those things that you're doing right now. Some people are running student groups, they are leaders, it's your leadership skill. So you can also talk about that experience. Managing people using your emotional intelligence, managing situations, taking those very difficult decisions. They are the sort of skills that you need to survive in the real world. I mean, beyond your core technical skill or the whatever subject matter that you have spent time going through in the past 3 or 4 years. So this is a CV that you have once you're just coming out of education. You don't have a lot of work experience, okay? So you have to focus on your profile. You have to make it punchy, but attention-grabbing at the same time. Why are you the ideal candidate? Do you have that kind of can-do attitude? How can you demonstrate that you have that can-do attitude? Because also sometimes we just do have a lot of cliches, or I'm hardworking, and hardworking where? Or people love me, I'm personable how? So you always have to find a way of demonstrating that you think you have, that passion, that core skill that you have that you think would be beneficial to your employer. You have to find a way of coining it. It's not enough to just say, I'm a hard worker, people love me, I can manage teams. No, you've got to show us how by giving us an example. Okay, then your qualifications is also your focal point. So while you're at school, it's very important that you have good results, all right? You're already in your final years, so I don't know how much you can change right now, but I think that wherever you think you are, make more effort to see that you come out tops, because your good result is what is even going to open doors for you in the first instance. And it's really important that you take your studies seriously and you finish well, so that somebody gives you an opportunity to come in and then get on with what you want to do, whatever it is that your purpose is in life. And then you also focus on your core skills. Document all your transferable marketing skills you've acquired while you're in school. Reflect on all your strengths, your interpersonal skills, you're able to solve problems, all the skills that you have that can be used in the workplace. So there are things that you're gathering right now that you're in the school, or maybe you're in some church you're in some church group and you're leading and you're counseling and you're volunteering, all those things that you're doing, or it might just be your passion. I like doing this. I like singing, I like dancing, I like making hair, I like creating things, I like ideas, I like all sorts of things. Find ways of coining them in such a way that if they're going to be useful in the workplace, then you can bring them into your CV. That's how it's going to work. So relate what you have learned with what you have learned so far and the skills that you have gathered so far with the job that you are applying for. I think I've talked about that and avoiding cliches. Oh, you're punctual, you're hardworking. Everybody says that, and I don't think it gets you any closer to your employer if you just do the copy and paste that most people do. I don't know how I'm doing on time, but let me try and be faster. So to also help you, you can use a template. There are all sorts of templates. There's enough resources out there where you can download templates and use. You can see the ones that people have already done, and you can just use those templates. So by the time we're done with this workshop, I'm going to send you the workbook, and I'm also going to send you the resources where you can go and download these templates. So they already have the structure, because when you have a template, it helps you to build structure. It helps your resume or CV, it makes it more readable. It's easier to read by the employer. But when you have everything punched up without structure, it's difficult to make sense out of what you have presented in your CV. So start by making a list of all your background information. I'm sure some of you already have your CVs. If you have your CV, when we're done with the workshop, take all you have, get all the key takeaways and look at your CV and see places where you need to improve. If you don't have a CV at all, not a problem. After today's workshop, I know your exams are around the corner. Find 30 minutes or something next week and start scribbling some of these things down. Even as you are going through the workshop, take notes of the things that you need to do on your CV. So by the time you're done, it's easy for you to assemble one. Start by making a list of all your background information, then organize them into categories. Okay, it's also good to use bullet points to make the information concise. Make sure that your format is uniform. So if you're using bullet points, just use bullet points. Don't use bullet points on one, and then when it comes to the other section, you start using something completely different. So that uniformity makes your CV much more professional. Proofread and edit. I can't overemphasize this. You proofread and edit. Most of the recruiters that I know have thrown away CVs. Once they see one grammatical error, one typo, they throw it away. The same thing with cover letters. I've had to forward CVs myself, CVs of people related to me, and somebody will tell me, if I saw the CV, but wow, this person is writing her name and using small letter to start her name. Anyway, Tolu will touch on those ones. Or this person sent a CV and it just doesn't make sense. So we've got to proofread it, and all those minor errors, you can't get away with them at all. And I think, like Kingsley said something, you can't bullshit your way through the way the world is now. You can't bullshit your way through the system. So you've got to put in the hard work and reap the desired benefits. So this is an example of a student CV. It's a bit all over the place. But if we look at the profile, for instance, this person is a biotechnology graduate. Yes, I put Ify Harris there, but it's not me, ify@email.com. But you're saying that you have to put your full name, put your address, you put your email, and you put your phone number so that someone can contact you. Then I need to touch on this point. So it depends on where you are. I think in Nigeria, they expect you to provide your bio data. So they will expect you to probably put your date of birth. Sometimes they will ask for marital status and all that. So if it's a place where they need your bio data, do well to provide your bio data. You don't have to put it on top. I think that's what I see in most CVs. You can just put it at the bottom, at the end of your CV. You can put your bio data, since it is required in a country like ours. So if we take a quick look at this profile, it's saying this is a versatile, it's saying he's a versatile and professional industrial biotechnology graduate with wide-ranging experience in a variety of bio-related areas, including research planning, advisory, procurement of laboratory equipment and materials, biogenetics law, report writing, and all of that. So he's, just by looking at his profile, yes, he's telling you that he's a graduate of so and so department, that he has experience in doing ABCD. So this is a graduate CV. So it's not like they're going out there and they're working. This is probably some of the things that they have done while they're studying or while they're volunteering somewhere. And then you talk about your qualification, because the focus is on your qualifications. You don't have a lot of experience, so you focus on your qualifications just under your profile. This person has a BSc in Industrial Biotechnology 2-1. Okay, he's from Champ University, and he talked about optional course modules. So it depends on what you're applying for, right? Because like Kingsley said, sometimes it doesn't matter what you studied, but you have to find a way of relating the passion that you have with whatever the new role is. And this person is also talking about his voluntary experience. Oh, he worked as a volunteer research assistant. He probably didn't get paid for this. Of course, he didn't get paid for it. It's voluntary. So he's talking about all the things that, a few things, and his own is bullet pointed, or drafting letter, making calls on behalf of research students, maintaining order in the lab. So don't just look at what you are doing and treat them like, oh, they're not important. You probably will go back and sit down and say that you've actually done enough to have like a proper 2-page CV that will impress any employer. So go back and look at all the things that you're doing. Look at all the activities you've been engaging in, voluntarily and otherwise, and see what you can put, what you consider good experience on your CV for now at this level. This person is also a volunteer mentor. It's probably in the church, is a youth mentor, and is talking about providing one-to-one support to young people, maintaining confidentiality, supporting mentees to set positive goals. These are some of the things we all did growing up. I didn't know, when I was your age, I didn't have this kind of training whatsoever, but I knew that I was constantly leading the church, outside the church, engaging in all sorts of activities as a young girl, honing my leadership skills. but I could not, because I didn't have this kind of exposure, I didn't know I could even put my CV together at the point I was graduating from university. So we'll move on quickly, and when you see the workbook, you will see the full CV. So I don't want us to dwell too much on that. So writing for robots, I did talk about an applicant tracking system. So some of the big recruiters use this applicant tracking system. Hold on, I need to mute someone. So some of these big recruiters use the applicant tracking system. Many of the big ones, okay? So your target, hold on 1 second, who is that? Okay, so you're not only writing, because we said you're doing your CV so you can get an opportunity to be interviewed, but you're also writing it now to get past the applicant tracking system and its technology. So it's trained to look out for certain information. If you don't meet that criteria, it's going to throw your CV away. So some of the tips are, and they say typically the ATS screens out I know it's over 75% of CVs. So you know when they say upload something online, you upload it and you think that somebody's going to get back to you. The system is looking at it and saying this one is not good enough, and you probably get an automated email. Sorry, you have not been successful. Okay, so these are some of the things to look out for. Use keywords that are relevant to the job. So maybe it's trying to pick some keywords. They already know what the job spec is. So the robot is looking out for certain keywords. Have a skills session or a summary of your qualifications. So at least you can detail your skills or leadership skills, conflict management, key stakeholder management, whatever it is that's relevant. Have a skills section. Avoid generic resumes. Don't just do copy and paste and throw it in there because somebody says there's an opening and you can throw in your CV. Include your dates of employment, because sometimes these robots are looking out for certain dates. So if they're looking for someone that has maybe 5 years experience, the dates on your CV, they'll be able to tell that, this person fits that criteria, and they'll be able to pick your CV. Keep the format simple and avoid fancy graphics. Use plain Microsoft Word. Yeah, sometimes when recruiters ask for CVs, we usually PDF and send it. But it's more advisable to send your CV in Word. I know sometimes we are worried about, it gets distorted, depends on when certain systems open up the Microsoft Word. But it's better, if you're uploading anything, it's better to use the Microsoft Word and a font size of at least 11 points, 11 to 12 points. Your section headers could be about up to 14 points, and just use those fonts that are professional. There's Arial, there's Times New Roman, there's Calibri, just the professional ones. Don't start using any cursive writing. It's not advisable, it's not professional enough. So what are the common CV mistakes? It's visually unappealing, it's difficult to read. That's why we've talked about having a structure. So if you have a template, the template helps you to maintain that structure. Or the CV is probably too long or too short. At your level, you'll probably be looking at a 2-page document, and I think that's good enough. Don't just have 3 pages of garbage. Have a page and a half of important information, clearly organized, and the recruiter will look at it and get straight to the point. And I've already talked about the typing errors or the use of poor grammar. And the words you use, we've talked about, okay, so there's the action words. Some people would not typically just list responsibilities. I'm sweeping the floor, I'm organizing things, use the action words. Okay, so if you're organizing things, if you organize, or you've organized the training session, you've done it. So use those action words, telling us what you have done exactly. And it helps you to even go straight to the point, right? So you are an organized person, you organized things, you supervised, you succeeded at doing something, you took an initiative. So those are the kind of words we want to see, okay? Avoid cliches, we've talked about it. Don't tell us, you're hardworking, personable, everybody's talking about how good you're personable. Tell us how hardworking you have been, and tell us why it's relevant to that role that you're applying for. Of course, adapt for your audience, highlight your key strengths, and of course, be specific and quantify. So don't just say you solved all the problems. So if you're able to implement a system that helped you address an issue, tell us how. If people are complaining, 100 people used to complain, we are now down to 50, so 50%. So also be specific. and quantify your achievements, okay? Because the recruiter is able to tell when people are exaggerating, trying to embellish what they haven't achieved. These are some of the words: you adapted, you combined, you created, you designed, you negotiated, you recommended, you reorganized. In terms of achievement, awarded, created, you developed or expanded, you recognized. So these are some of the words that we want you to use in your CV, because it helps you to stand out. If it's organizational skills or displayed, documented, filed, prepared, presented, recorded, and all of those. So these words, familiarize yourself with these words. Of course, this is not only, it's not all inclusive. I'm sure there are other action words that you can also bring into your CV, okay? These are also short phrases. Keywords are short phrases that relate to the requirements of the job. So sometimes, depending on the role that you are applying for, there are certain keywords they expect you to use. Or if you're into customer service, you're saying you're using keywords like customer service, customer tracking system, or your computer, your IT skills. Anybody looking at your CV, you know that you know what you're doing. So tips for finding keywords, because sometimes you also struggle with finding these keywords. Review the job postings. Okay, find out or even look out for similar positions you're interested in, and look for the keywords to incorporate into your resume. Utilize the keywords that the company uses to describe itself, okay, just to demonstrate to them that you're a good fit. We're not saying go to their website or whatever, go to the job description and copy and do everything copy and paste. No, just use some of the keywords to demonstrate that you've actually read the job description and that you understand what they are looking for or what they are talking about. Okay, some of the common pitfalls: typos, CVs with typos. You can't get away with it. Not today, not anymore. People copying large amounts of wording from the job posting. So you have to look at the job posting. That's fair enough. Pick some of the words and then prepare the rest of the content. Don't just do copy and paste. We're looking for someone who is personable, who can relate with people, who can manage situations. You just do copy and paste and put it on your CV. They will definitely find out. Okay, CVs with an inappropriate email address. I know we're in the 21st century, people, and we have a lot of slay queens. And you have slayqueen@gmail.com. You have hotpants at yahoo.com. Please, it's a no-no. Make sure, so if you have that kind of email address, use it for something else. But as a professional, you have to use an appropriate email address. It could be your name at in particular at a Gmail or Yahoo Mail or whatever it is, but it has to be appropriate, okay? If you send a CV that doesn't include a list of skills, it's always good to include a list of skills. It helps the recruiter, find out the kind of person that you are. It makes their job easier for them, okay? Because choosing the wrong format for your CV. So it depends on what you're applying for anyway. So if you know what is most suitable, please don't just use it. If you don't have any experience at all, go and start using a performance CV where you have nothing to write under your profile. You probably do your profile, go with your education and qualifications and awards and certificates and all that, and then put in the minimum work experience that you have. There's also this issue of CVs that detail more tasks than results for previous positions. Some people will just have worked at this university, opening the door, filing documents, stuff like that, or just copying, you're responsible for doing A, B, and C, and then on your CV, you're just talking about responsible for doing A, B, and C. You need to make it more personal. You need to be able to make it more like, show us the result. What have you achieved? So, okay, your job is to file documents. How have you been filing the documents? Have you been following the guidelines, right? So you're filing documents in line with the guidelines or the policies, and there are no issues at all whenever you file them. So just find a way of pointing them that doesn't just make it look like you're so mundane. You're just listing responsibilities because you know how to list responsibilities. CVs that include a photo, I put an asterisk. As long as you're not in the creative industry where they need you to do that, for instance, you don't need to add a photo to your CV. Okay, well, especially in Nigeria and even elsewhere, UK, I'm definitely sure. You don't need photos of your CVs unless they've asked you to do that. Then the next big one is lying on your CV. So some people know how to lie. You're fabricating positions, you're exaggerating your qualifications. You really don't need to do that. Somebody, an experienced recruiter can tell through your lies, okay? So you may lie and get an opportunity to come for an interview. Once you open your mouth and they ask you a few questions, they are so skilled, they can tell when you are lying. CVs that contain meaningless features, no. Using an objective statement that says nothing on what you bring to the table, I think we already touched on that. So it's not just about what the employer will do for you, it's about what you will do for the employer. They have problems, that's why they're recruiting. There are problems to be solved. We talk about problem-solving skills. They need you to solve a problem. They don't need you to come and it's not a charity organization where they will just help you and there's nothing else they want to do for themselves. So you always have to think about your profile statement and make sure that you say that one thing that you're able to bring to the table. And of course, negative social media. Some recruiters, even most recruiters, will go to your social media handles to check you out. Some will even ask you to put your LinkedIn profile link. They will go and check you out and see the sorts of things that you're posting on your social media. I think I'm nearly done. There are a couple of CV apps. I am not saying I'm endorsing them, but I'm going to ask you to check them out if you may. It provides some kind of template as well. So you can find them on the internet, or you can even download them on through your app, your phones. Okay, so there's one they call Resume Star. It's free on Android, iOS, and desktop. So you can look at it and see what format that they have. These are all like CV templates that will help you to quickly build your CV. There's a civil engineer, there's the intelligent CV, there's a resume builder and professional. There's a resume builder by nobody. It's free on, most of these ones are free on iOS. They probably have a paid version, but I think that the free version can also help you to kind of build a structure. You already have a template, throw in what you need to throw in. So these are just some of the CV apps that you have out there. That's a lot more. Right, I'm going to round up right now. So we've touched on, I know I've been very fast, but at least we managed to touch on the different CV formats, how do you need to create the right impression for yourself and of course the skill set that you have, and how to demonstrate your abilities and achieve the best results on your CV. And of course, how to develop your CV in line with your skills, your knowledge and experience. So if you're a student, a graduate, then you know the kind of template to go for, and how to avoid the common pitfalls when it comes to CV writing. I'll quickly get Tolu to talk on the covering letter. And if you have any questions, please send them to the chat. There may not be time to do the question and answer session right now because we're supposed to finish at 4 o'clock, but do well to put all your comments and your questions on the chat, and I will find time to respond to them and make sure that you get a feedback from me. So Tolu, if you don't mind, I will stop sharing so you can take over the screen. Tolu Odigi is a HR business partner at the Keystone Bank. She has a lot of recruitment experience, so hopefully she will tell us and share some of her experiences in evaluating CVs, screening CVs, and interviewing as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, thank you, Ife. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Ife. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just
afternoon
on the screen. All right, I believe everyone can see the screen. Okay.
Yes,
so,
we can.
Okay, so this is going to be like what has already been talked about. As some of you already know, your CV and your cover letter go together when you're applying for different roles. So I'm just going to go through the basics. So writing a cover letter can sometimes be complicated for recent graduates because you feel like you have limited work experience. But there are ways that you can let the employer know that you are the best candidate for the job. So your cover letter is your personal introduction. It should highlight your goals and your interests, your intentions for the organization. What are you going to bring to the table? How are you going to add value to their organization? It should express your passion and your commitment for the role or the industry that you are applying to. Passion is very, very important because it will actually show on the job. There's a difference between someone who is passionate about their role and someone who is not passionate. It will definitely show. It also demonstrates your ability to communicate your skills. And it's an opportunity to tell your story and sell yourself through your cover letter using a skills matrix. So I'll explain what a skills matrix is shortly. So are you the right fit? So I want you to, think like the employer, put yourself in the employer's shoes. So when you're writing your cover letter, you should ask yourself, can I do the job? Is it something that I know I have the competency to actually do? Do I want the job? So that speaks about the passion. And ultimately, this will give you an answer to, are you the right fit for the job? So do your skills line up with the skills that are required in the job description and the application? So these are the questions the employers will be asking themselves while they're reading your cover letters. Okay, so just a couple of tips. So if she's been able to go through what a CV is. So a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this in the past, where you wonder, why am I writing a cover letter when I already have a CV? They're not the same. Your cover letter is completely different from your CV. So your cover letter is more in line with, what skills, aligning your skills with the skills required for the job. So your CV is about you. It's about your qualifications, your educational background, your work experience, everything that Ife mentioned in detail, while your cover letter is about the organization. So it's what can you bring to the table for the firm. So when starting your cover letter, the opening, you have to capture the attention of the reader. You need to have a hook. So we're no more with the cliche starts to your cover letters where you're putting my name is and give a very nice story as to how this particular group might your career path, where you want to go to. Something that's very catchy. And you're opening to express interest for the position. You should also do your research, do your homework about the company that you're applying for. So companies do not want you to reiterate everything that is already on their website in your cover letter. Go the extra mile, and going the extra mile will keep you ahead of your competition who is also applying for that same role. Find out, read their publications, find out what their current projects are, find out figures and facts about them that, you're not just writing in your cover letter about their, what is on the front page of their websites. So the second part of your cover letter should be skills matching. So earlier I mentioned about having a skills matrix. So basically your skills matrix, this is something you should take time out to do personally. You outline your strengths, your competencies, and your level and your interest in those areas and how you would rate yourself. So you know what your skills are. When people ask you what are your skills, you can easily say I'm a problem solver, I'm analytical, I'm critical, all these skills. So you should ensure that your skills from your skills matrix actually matches the job description, the skills outlined in the job description. So you should highlight your best relevant experiences. They do not want to know about all the work experiences that you've had. It has to tie into the role and what is in the job description. So highlight the best ones and the ones that you think would showcase who you are and your competencies. You can link your education, your qualifications, and your trainings to the job as well. You should also, you can talk about the company's values, the mission and the vision. it's always important that you link any information that you're giving, that you're writing in your cover letter should always link back to the position if it's not clearly stated. So every line that they're reading is intentional. It's relevant to the particular role that you're applying for. So if it doesn't belong in the cover letter, do not include it. They don't need you to copy everything that's in your CV in your cover letter. So your cover letter it's targeted towards a specific role. So in closing your cover letter, it's always good to make a make a good final impression. Sell your candidacy to the employer, express your passion, tie everything you're saying in your closing remarks to the previous examples and, you know, the hook that I talked about in your opening statements. You know, it's important that you give genuine thanks and, if possible, address the elephant in the room, which could be maybe possibly having bad grades or not even having any form of experience in a particular area. You can sell yourself in a way that if you do not have experience in a particular area, you can speak in a certain way and, you know, let the employer know that, okay, yes, they do not have experience, but we would really want to hire this person, and leave a call to action. So for example, it could be, I look forward to hearing from you to discuss my qualifications and expressing my enthusiasm, you know, for the industry or for the role. So your standout strategy, don't lose who you are in your cover letter. It should express you. There are several cases where you read a cover letter, it's fantastic, you invite the candidate for an interview, and you're looking at it like, is this who, you know, we read about in, you know, in the cover letter, and what we're seeing, how the person is speaking, how they're expressing themselves, totally different. So remember your personal brand and use it. Your brand should be consistent throughout your cover letter. Your personal values should tie into the company's values and their goals. So organizations, it's very good to tie your values to their values, because it also shows that you're there for the long haul, you're there for the long run. You want to see, you know, their goals achieved. You're not just there just to work and get your money paid at the end of the month, but you're actually passionate about the company making it and succeeding. So if we mentioned about the same way in your CV that you should have consistent formatting, you know, your text and everything else that you put in your CV, you should do the same for your cover letter. It should be consistent throughout your application. So it's important that you proofread everything that you put out there in your cover letter. And it's important to mention that do not use a generic cover letter the same way you would not use a generic CV to apply for a job. Like I mentioned earlier, it's targeted towards a specific role. So each cover letter should be reworked. I can't tell you the number of times that you know, you can receive a cover letter for a particular role, and the candidate forgets to change the address or even the name of the company because they feel, okay, just write your name, the role you're applying for, just quickly outline a couple of skills, and that's it. But it also tells the recruiter or the HR person that this person did not take enough time, they're not intentional, and how do we know that they really want this job? So take your time. Yes, you can see a job application and you want to quickly apply for it, but take your time, read the job description or the application details. It's key. It is very, very important, because your cover letter and your CV should be in line with the job description. A lot of people apply for jobs where you just submit your CV with all the experiences that you've ever had from God knows when. That's not what they're looking for. If the job is towards accounting and you've had maybe experience as maybe an IT person. You know, there's some irrelevant experiences that do not need to be there for a particular role, which you can take out of your CV and your cover letter. So, of course, your cover letter reflects your professionalism and summarily expands, you know, on your CV. So this is just a template of, you know, the difference between a cover letter and your CV. So your cover letter is completely different. It has an opening. It has a skills matching section targeted towards that role, and, you know, the closing, like I talked about. So I'd just like to challenge you and, you know, give you a task in your spare time. Create a cover letter, you know, template using the tips, you know, and also a CV like Ify mentioned, you know, that you've learned from this workshop. Have a standard template written out so that you can, whenever you receive several, you know, job applications, or you're applying for several jobs with different roles, you can go back and, you know, rework some sections and change out some, you know, some words or some skills or, you know, some experiences. So thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tolu.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Tolu, will you be able to share your slides after?
Sure, I can.
Okay, so it's something that we can also put up on the My CCU website. Okay, thank you, Tolu. Thank you for all those tips. I do hope that we can all go back and put some of these things into practice. Because we are running out of time, the VC would like to make a few remarks, and then Dr. Odibo Ike would do the closing remarks. And thank you so much, students, for being very patient. I know it's not easy to sit through a 2.5 hour workshop, but you're investing in your future, so it's really important that we do what we are doing right now. So over to you, VC.
Yeah, thank you, our amiable Director for Career Services, Mrs. Ify, for what you have done, how you have so nicely moderated this event. The DAP will give the vote of thanks, but I was so fascinated by the quality of presentation that I felt it would be remiss if I didn't say a few words of gratitude to our resource person, distinguished resource person. I mean, the sections have been very fascinating, have been very informative. It's been very exciting listening to all these very valuable insights that you have provided. So thank you so much, our resource persons, for what you have shared with us. This is the kind of workshop that people pay a lot of money and travel to listen to. But CCU has made it available to our students because we believe in them. These are our pioneer students, and we want them to be the best, to be a good ambassador of CCU. And indeed, they have also demonstrated that they value what we have done today. As of 2 hours afterwards, we still have about 29 persons still logged on online. This demonstrates clearly that they understand what we are doing. So I appreciate our students. I've just noted on one of our students' WhatsApp profile that he has already started to express appreciation to Coal City University for this workshop. And that is Michael. I saw his DP profile now. So thank you, Michael. I mean, it begs the question, is there any other university that you know of that is offering this kind of online support to students, that is committed to transformative student experience, that wants students to be able to hold their own anywhere they are? This is the kind of thing we would like you to tell others, tell your friends about what CCU is doing to ensure that you be the best you can potentially be. So thank you, our students, for the investment. I just want to end my remarks with one key suggestion. Be careful about what you put on your Facebook. Employers also look at your Facebook and your social media profile in making decisions about employing you. Look at the recent incident. You could see the video that is trending about a doctor in the US that made a claim that chloroquine can be used to treat COVID. It didn't take time for people to search her online to find out who she is. And now people are deflating her claims based on her profile. So in essence, you need to be very cautious of the kind of profile you create on social media. Even to apply for US visa now, they will expect you to submit your social media profile. They will expect you to provide your Facebook account, LinkedIn account, and they search you. So employers are increasingly looking at your profile to make an informed decision. And I've also found something that's becoming increasingly fashionable, the way people write their names. Very awful. People write their name, they put their surname first, they put their initial, and they put their first name. There's a logic to that. That is a put-off. If people see you writing your name in an unconventional way, if you're not putting your first name first, then they will not be persuaded to even go through your CV or your cover letter. On this note, I want to thank again our resource person, and I pass it on to the DAP for closing remarks and closing prayer. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Debo, are you here? Dr. Debo? Seems like we lost him.
Okay. So if you
Can you hear me?
Oh no, he's here. Okay, cool.
I apologize. I've lost my video and it's a bit problematic. But if you can hear me, I can go ahead.
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. I think the VC has made my job simpler by extending gratitude to the resource persons for such a rich presentation, for equipping our students with all the resources they need to become globally competitive. The presentation is excellent. The content is wonderful. At the planning level, I'd like to thank in a special way Ife Ugonabo, the director of the Career Services Center, for taking the gauntlet and then taking this bold initiative. And she has announced that this is going to run like a series. So another one will be coming up soon. Thank you very much, Ife, for being at the center of it all. Thank you, the Vice Chancellor, for giving all the support, for even being available to comment and to remark and to edit at the preparatory level. Thank you very much. Our ICT, the Director of the Student Affairs and the Student Union Government, the Consultative Council, they all help to mobilize students. We are very grateful to them. Our ICT also for the designing and the back and forth movement of designs. They eventually gave us something that is very, very nice. So if I start running through all the presentations, that of course will amount to repeating everything. But I'd still like to thank Professor Onya for actually taking us through how to make our lives purposeful. That your presentation was very moving, because you've given us all the bits about how to start well, the foundational truths. I'd like to thank Engineer Eze for taking us, in the direction of where the jobs are available And that is why we are talking about CCU students being globally competitive in employability. Engineer Eze's presentation, you can say it is the Bible that they need to make these journeys. They have paid the make them. Thank you very much. And of course, if your presentation is at the heart of it all, because if you have all the skills and you can't even put it out there, you can't package it, you can't sell yourself, you're losing it all. You're not going to get a good job. And finally, I'm thanking Tolu for making this clear distinction between a cover letter and a curriculum vitae. It is very important. While the CV refers to the individual, the cover letter refers more to the organization. This is very, very informative. And of course, for our students, like the VC has said, for lasting over 2 hours listening, it's true some have left and some their data may have exhausted by now, but I think they have put up a very strong spirit and it is commendable. So once again, I thank everybody who contributed to the success of this event, and we ask God to bless us, and may our achievements be a source of strength for future tasks. It is a great pleasure working with you all. Thank you very much, and God bless you. God bless CCU. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amen.
Okay.
Thank you all. I'll see you again.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. The meeting has come to an end, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, just something that just occurred to me. Perhaps you could also mention to the students about the quality of the resource person you're getting from Australia in subsequent one.
Okay, so Miss Claire Ireland, she's a High Commissioner to an ambassador to Nigeria from the Australian High Commission, right? I hope I put it well. So she's expressed interest to run a career workshop session for us. So our next session, our next workshop, she would definitely be there. So you don't want to miss it, and you don't want your friends to miss it. And it's going to happen very soon. We'll look at your calendar and see where we can fit that in, okay? So looking forward to having another great session in the coming weeks or months, okay? Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.